The following is a personal account by the head of the AI Lovecraft team. The views shared here are spoken and converted in an AI-generated voice and are not shared by any person who may or may not sound similar to the voice being used. Hey there all, AI Lovecraft here. This is a sort of state of the channel update and explanation for the lack of story uploads currently. We have reached a point where we are at the hardest stories of Lovecraft to upload on YouTube. There's a few still that are more easily done, but we do want to get out some of the bigger pieces sooner than later, and that is what is consuming our time right now. The Shadow over Innsmouth is most likely coming up next, as that one is much easier to do than others. That being said, we are also reaching a point where we are almost out of Lovecraft stories. Now we do have Robert Bloch and Clark Ashton Smith stories to go into, even though poor Clark Ashton Smith is so underrated by comparison to that of Lovecraft. Understandable given the influence of Lovecraft, but I always loved the work of Smith. The setting of Hyperborea is so cool to me. If you haven't given any of the Clark Ashton Smith stories a try, I highly recommend them. Especially if you came here because of the Elden Ring voices. I have a video script in the works, comparing the lands between to the lands of Hyperborea, that I am very excited to be writing. Which does bring me to a pivot. You will see more and more on the channel. With us chipping away at a new way to do voice-to-voice, we do want to do some think pieces about Lovecraft's influence on media. One currently being worked on is the Eldrazi from Magic the Gathering, which has been a lot of fun to go back and forth about. For those who are unfamiliar, the Eldrazi are a race in the Magic the Gathering universe that exist outside the universe and do Lovecraftian things. Actually, pretty fun topic. I think it'll be cool to do that. We've been working on some gameplay stuff, specifically with New Vegas that might get trashed, depending on how we feel about it when we get all the scripting done. That project will mostly come down to how good we can get the writing and editing. We also are working on some long-form content, such as the SCP-1730 radio play we are working on. If you haven't seen the SCP-096 video, that gives you a bit of an idea the direction we are going with it. Even though that was merely a test to see how hard it would be to get good line reads for the project. There's a couple of books we are looking at for large projects, and some of you out there have offered up some alternative authors to cover, such as Lord Dunsany. We also have The King in Yellow by Chambers to go back to. We've also been able to start covering Cryptic Nightmares stories, which is sort of exciting, as their work is very different and a fun pivot for the channel, and that will probably be happening more and more. If you're watching this, please do give it a watch and let us know your thoughts on the story currently uploaded. It will be one of the videos on this video's end card. That is something that we do want to continue pushing into. We do want to cover modern stories written by good authors on platforms such as Creepypasta and No Sleep. That's sort of the natural evolution of a channel like this. Move into more modern pieces written by modern authors. But I don't want us to be only about stories here. That is a pigeonhole we would like to avoid in the long run, which is why we are working diligently on scripts about things related to Lovecraft. Currently, we have 2 scripts in the works about Lovecraft-inspired or adapted media, specifically the most recent adaptation of The Color Out of Space, which we have extremely strong opinions on, and the movie Glorious, which we also have different, very strong opinions on. As someone new to YouTube, I know there is a delicate balance with a growing channel on balancing our personal views and passions with that of what the audience wants, which is why I think it is important to make this video. I would like to know, What among the things we are working on interest you the most? You came here for audiobooks of Lovecraft, and probably some excitement to the technology being used to emulate voices from pop culture, which gives us a very interesting audience that we are very grateful for. The reason I bring all of this to you as a question is not due to indecision. It is due to a unique desire to hear from my audience and see what interests them, what they want to see. Some of you have already been quite vocal about things you like, but I legitimately would like to hear more from the viewers. As a small channel, every viewer is important to us. So if you have a suggestion or an idea for something you would like us to cover, please let us know. You're as much a part of this team as anyone actually working for the channel. We've recently surpassed 1,700 subscribers, and we are super excited about that number. We never thought we would get here, and we are immensely grateful for this. Each and every one of you is amazing, and we're happy to have you here. We would like to continue growing the channel, but we don't wish to alienate our existing audience in the process. So please, let your voice be heard in the comments here on this video. We have some things that we are looking forward to that will be entering the public domain in the next year or two. But in the meantime, we need to continue making content. And that is what we are trying to do. We are trying to make the most interesting content that we can. That is also relevant to the channel's initial direction. We have so many ideas in our idea box that it is getting a bit out of control. As a final thought to this video, I will reiterate how important your input is on this video. The direction we go when we run out of Cthulhu mythos is very dependent on you, the viewer. We know that SCP and Backrooms content is not the best direction, views-wise, but it is something that interests us. As mentioned before, we also want to cover Lovecraft inspiration in other media, and I personally think that is a fun direction for the channel, if well written and well researched. We also have modern horror stories and creepypastas we can go into. We've also considered doing long-form essay content about internet weirdos. But we're not 100% sure that's an amazing idea. Fairly certain it isn't, but it's an option. There's also the option of parody content, which is exciting, but much more labor-intensive. We've seen Elden Ring abridged, and Baldur's Gate 3 abridged, and we've thought about tossing our hat in that ring. So, that is our call to action to you, the viewer. Please let us know what you'd like to see. And if you have any unique ideas of your own, don't be shy about sharing. We value your opinion and very much want to hear from you. If you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor and hit that thumbs up and leave a comment with your thoughts. AI Lovecraft, signing off.